start with the Hoosiers of Indiana. And Rocco, I will turn to you for an Indiana team that lost the other day to Oregon and now has to have a long wait until Selection Sunday to hear whether they are called and are going to be placed into the NCAA tournament. Where do you think the Hoosiers stand right now?
So, yeah, I have Indiana as my very last team in the field. I think from a selection standpoint, they were second to last. So to me, they're one of those last two hanging on. And the reason why is the reason we're even talking about Indiana right now is the road win at Michigan State. The committee has told us for probably almost our entire lives, it comes down to for making sure you get the decisions correct on which teams belong in or out. Where did you play? Who did you play? And how did you do? Well, that win at Michigan State is so critical for the bubble. They also threw in 3 other non-tournament wins that are also, substantial. 2 of those other 3 landed in quad 1, the win at Ohio State and the win at Penn State. And then they added a win at Washington in quad 2. So they've done enough away from home, I guess, based on just the power of that Michigan State win. Michigan State is 7th on the seed list. I think we're all unanimous on that. It's just a really, really good road win. But the rest of the results are very shaky, and it's all the losses are right there in the first quad. I think that helps the Hoosiers a little bit just because there's no bad losses. But at 4-13, it's a pretty lousy winning percentage, 17 opportunities, only succeeding and smiling 4 times. And in those 4 wins as well, with the exception of the 15-point win over Purdue, they really had to squeak those out. There was a 1-point win at Ohio State in overtime, 4-point win at the Michigan State in the big win, and a 6-point win at Penn State. So, they're within the final scores themselves. It's tricky with Indiana because they also got blown out a number of times. You look at that home loss to Illinois, really, really ugly. So, again, there's plenty of reasons to leave them out, but they have just enough to get in for right now.
Brad, your thoughts on the Hoosiers?
Yeah, Rocco put it really nicely. I think that win at Michigan State is the only reason why they're hanging around right now. And Michigan State has been one of the hottest teams in the country as a solid 2 seed at the moment. Another thing that kind of goes against Indiana, they're currently my last team in the field. They're just 8-13 against quadrant 1 and quadrant 2 opponents. 5 games under 500 is not a good record. And they're just 5-9 away from home. Some things that I think they do have going for them, though, their resume metrics are pretty solid for a team that's on the bubble. They have a 48 strength record, a 46 WOB, and their KPI is 35. So you take those averages, and their numbers are pretty favorable compared to a lot of these other teams on the bubble. So they are right there for a bid. If they happen to get in, they're going to be in Dayton based on their Nets 54, which is one of the worst in the field right now. It's actually the worst in the field. And the rest of their predictive metrics are, kind of close around 50 and above. But look, 4-13 is not a particularly good record. We saw last year Oklahoma did not make the tournament. I know there were 5 bid stealers. Oklahoma missed the tournament while being 4-12 against quadrant 1 opponents. So Indiana's hanging on for dear life. And the problem with their resume as well, they beat Ohio State twice at home and on the road. And right now, Ohio State in all likelihood, they're not going to be in the NCAA tournament. So now all of a sudden, Indiana only has 2 wins against at-large teams at Michigan State, and they beat Purdue. So that's a pretty significant problem as well. But having that road win is a major piece of their resume that does and will stand out to the committee.